If you're new to Hearts of Iron 4, I highly recommend starting out as Italy. You start out right in the midst of combat. There's a lot of dynamics of the game you have to deal with compliance, organizing your inventory. There's a lot of things like that in the game that is great for helping new players learn the dynamics, and it's a very forgiving space. We're fighting in Ethiopia. When you're fighting against Ethiopia, you're essentially on a clock. You see, Ethiopia's focus tree allows them to continue a war past the point of capitulation. They're going to take two focuses that will do that. Rally around the emperor and boarding the train. As you can see on boarding the train, once that focus is completed, it says right there, if Ethiopia surrenders, Halle Selasse will form a government in exile, which essentially means you can't beat them. Well, you can, and I'll show you how in another video, but it's definitely not worth it. Fortunately for you, the AI doesn't straight just rush these two focuses. Usually they'll do this focus here before going over here. So essentially, you have just over 100 days to capitulate the Ethiopians. So what's the best way to do it? Well, first of all, you'll want front lines where you already have troops.
Ordini? Sì, signore.
But you also have a massive army at home.
Attento.
My recommendation is take 4 troops
Ordini?
and place them on the border of Ausa. This is important because later on you'll get to annex them, and you'll get some of their troops, but it's nice to have a little more. Secondly, this front is quite weak. This front right here is mostly made up of irregular divisions. They're not very good. 7 soft attack. So we're going to bring the rest of our army down here. If you want to grab all your troops that aren't assigned to an army, if you shift and then click, you get them all in a group like that. I'm going to put these guys down over here. Next, we'll group our entire army with a field marshal.
Pronto all'azione.
Rodolfo Graziani's pretty good. He's got the Desert Fox trait, which makes him perfect for this battle.
Sì, signore.
For the rest of your army generals, it doesn't matter, just choose the best. Now, you actually don't have to do all that much microing, or any at all if you don't want to, though it does help. As far as our front lines go, we're just going to push in a straight line to Addis Ababa.
Formazione. Sì, signore.
Notice this general, I didn't give an order because we're going to annex Ausa. Then I'll give him a spearhead order. Now, go back over to your field marshal.
Comandi.
Up here, you see this picture of a horse. This is mobilization. It's essentially supply. The more trucks you give an army, the better the supply lines. The better the supply lines, the better the organization. The better the organization, the longer they can fight, and the easier they can win. If you click this twice, we can max out our motorization priority. Now, technically, you're not going to have enough trucks to do this, but we just want as many trucks out there as we can. Next, go down and look at your battle plans. Set this to aggressively execute battle plans. Essentially, when you do aggressive battle plans, it means your units are going to push even when there's not good logistics, or even when they're afraid that they might widen the front too much and be weak. We're not worried about that at all. We just want to beat the Ethiopians as quick as possible. So set that to aggressive. Now, if you've been struggling with this fight, I recommend going first with Ethiopian war logistics. It doesn't do much, but it does help with a little bit of supply. Next, you're going to want to build an airbase. Now, this state down here does not have an airbase. As you can see, if I go to our strategic air map, this airport can hold 200 planes. So that's going to give us 200 more planes we can put in the arena. Italy starts out the game with about 700 planes. So right now, we have enough air force up in the north, but not in the south. The other thing you're going to want to do is build a railway. You're going to place it here because once Ausa gets annexed, our troops are going to move in, and there's actually a supply hub right here in Dir Dawa. So we want to take this province as quick as possible and reconnect the railroads. As far as production goes, you have a lot of unassigned factories to start. The game down here has you building a CAS airframe. Honestly, just delete it. The reason I recommend not building this airframe is twofold. A, we don't have any of this airframe in stock. And B, if you look at it, it has light machine guns on it, which is fine, but the problem with that is because it can do more missions than the interwar cast frame can, this airframe will never reinforce this airframe. You can really set up production however way you like to play the game. I will say you absolutely need to build a lot of artillery, because when the game starts, for whatever reason, Italy doesn't have a production line, and we're already at a deficit. It's amazing. Some people don't realize this. You can go to the logistics tab, and it tells you what you all have. You can see I'm short on artillery, guns, and support equipment. So what am I going to build? Artillery, guns, and support equipment. As far as research goes, just plan it how you would normally do your research. None of the research is going to affect how this battle goes. Okay, our army's set. Now let's add the airframes. Since these airframes are already close and I need airframes in the south, I just move these airframes and assign them on the guy pushing down south. As far as your Air Force orders go, don't waste your Air Force doing assignments that they will never need. The Ethiopians do not have a navy, so don't select this. The Ethiopians have no trains and no trucks, so don't do logi bombing. They have nothing of value in the short term that you need. We don't have to do any strategic bombing. So all we're going to do is close air support. If you wanted to, you could even just get rid of all your fighter wings. The Ethiopians have no fighter air force. The only thing that matters here is CAS. You could make a small case that by doing a little bit of strategic bombing, you lower their war support, which would lower their surrender limit. But honestly, it's so small it doesn't matter. So we have these wings set up on the southern front. Let's go grab the other wings and put them on the northern front. And with that, you're pretty much set up. I'll run this at 4 speed so you can see it live, and then just hit everyone on their frontline orders. Now, you don't have to micro with this strategy. You can, but you don't have to. If you do micro, you can easily get encirclements down here in the south. For whatever reason, this guy is not attacking immediately. I don't know why.
Avanzate!
So you might do some microing like that to pin this guy down. You're going to get this event pop up, and both of these are fine. Pick whichever one you like. If you're bad at the game, maybe do by any means necessary. That selection can be harmful in the long run because you see this focus here. As this goes up, the more screwed you are as the Italians. But in this case, it's not going to matter because we're going to have the war wrapped up in time. With Ethiopian war logistics done, you can move on to another focus. For the sake of this war, nothing really matters. I prefer to do Italian highways next because then I can start working on additional research and civilian factories. But army primacy is a great one too. Gives you those military factories you need and a reduction in land doctrine. And here's our decision. Send an ultimatum demanding total subjugation. Also, you can see down here a little bit of breakthrough. This is when you can micro and it will help you a lot.
Pronto.
As you can see, I have 4 units here. One is retreating back. I'm actually going to select this one to pin down that unit, signore, and then manually just tell these units to go and encircle that one and then push up further here. The AI, if you're on historical, will always fold. And now your borders are like this. So we'll quickly want to readjust this. And then with the new units we get, you see you get 2 irregulars here.
Attento.
We're going to assign them to Army 3. And I'm going to put him just right here in Ausa. And I'm going to give him a spearhead order to Addis Ababa. You'll also, with these guys, want to pin down this troop here so you don't get encircled. For whatever reason, this guy is leaving this tile, so just let him. Sometimes this tile's empty and you can take it. Sometimes he'll fight you and you'll want to pin him, but since he's leaving, I'm just going to wait with this guy and then take that tile. I'm also, now that I own this land, I'm going to build the railway again over here to make it further and put it into the top of my priority. Okay, he decided to stay after all.
Andiamo!
So we'll go ahead and take the Ethiopia. Again, just as you need to. For whatever reason, your troops never want to move into the empty tile in front of them.
Continuate l'attacco.
So you can just manually direct traffic every now and then. And there's our first encirclement. Again, just occasionally readjust these lines. By this time, you'll have enough political power. If you're worried about losing the war, you can slap on an army advisor. Army morale, non-combat out of supply penalties. That's perfect for low logistics areas. And then again, your officer corps, you can go over here to your spirit, and you can set logistical focus. Again, that will help you immensely over here. Okay, now that Yerda was conquered, we'll link up the rail lines, and there's the supply we need to make the final push. And there it is, the railway's linked. And then to finish it off, just to make sure you get it done in time,
Comandi.
go ahead and force attack. My only recommendation is go ahead and annex this all. Do not puppet Ethiopia, because they have a focus where when they are a puppet that they can break free. Stay tuned. In my next video, I'll show you the insane loopholes you have to go through that are not worth it to fully capitulate Ethiopia if you don't get it done in time like here.